writer, and Charlie Adlard, the artist.
Not appropriate.
There's still people rolling in, but we're gonna keep this pretty informal, and we have some mic stands set up, and we're gonna keep it as a pretty open
Please
Q&A.
shine the lights on me.
It's not hot enough already.
I see one mic here. Is there another mic in here too, or is it just the one? Just the one. All right. Well, let's look. Let's you guys want to ask us questions? We're here for you. Just start lining up with the mic, and we'll go through this. It'll be great.
Oh, that's really disconcerting seeing us in front here.
I like the green tone on the screen, so we kind of look like lizard people. That's good. It's always good at a panel to talk about things that only you can see. How are you, sir?
I'm doing all right. Oh, it is on. So I just want to say before we start, Sean?
I'm going to start out, hold on, by saying that I can barely see because there's like a light shining. So if I go, hello, sir, hello, ma'am, I can barely see people there. So I don't want to get into any trouble for that.
I'll do gender checks.
Okay,
so.
good.
We're good.
Yeah.
All right, go for it.
Sean, I just want to say,
Hopefully my
Sean,
eyes will adjust.
You should definitely give
I'm
yourself
going to keep
more
talking
credit.
over you. Is that funny?
Yeah, it's very much it. Shall we do it?
You're not talking about him, so that's why.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've been an editor, and they do a lot of work. So I mean, they're just as involved in the process as
Next.
the author and writer. Oh.
Next.
Yeah.
No.
That was pretty
Sean
much
does a lot of work.
Yeah.
He's a
And
good
it's-
editor.
on Walking Dead and mostly other non-Walking Dead related stuff, but yeah.
So
Well, that's an awkward silence.
I was just wondering, because I've been reading the comics, and I noticed that every once in a while, zombie surf popped up. Was that an oops?
What, the word zombie?
Yeah.
I mean, like on the show, we made more of a like fast and hard like decision to not use that term. But over the course of the comic series, like I was toying with the idea of using it a little bit more than I ended up using it. But yeah, it shows the word shows up a couple of times, I think. You know.
What are you getting at?
What can you do?
Oops.
But every time they encounter a new community, I want them to have like a different name for zombies, and I think that's like a cool way to differentiate like what region people come from and stuff like that. And that's something that we'll get into later. But you kind of run out of cool sounding names, Like they used geeks, and there was another one that they used on the show in the first season that I just hated. And I was like, oh, we're not using that anymore. But so I got rid of those. But yeah, you run out of good zombie names for a while, and then it's like zombie works. Try that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi guys, great to see you again.
This one's a woman.
Yeah, all right. I'm seeing better now. Let's not do that every time.
I am indeed a woman. I was really surprised that Rick let Negan live, but we're kind of seeing some disturbing behavior with him. I was kind of freaked out when he was like beating the dude with his cane like some cranky old guy.
I thought you were talking about Negan for a minute. I was like, you're seeing disturbing behavior now?
No. in Rick, and it reminds me kind of where we are in the show with Rick like biting the guy on the neck and stuff like that. And Magna's kind of worried about, is this a community we can trust? Are we going to see Rick kind of grappling with his humanity again? Has he been affected by what happened with Negan? Is he going to kind of start slipping into that dark side again?
Well, it's definitely, Rick has become more of an authoritative leader. This is him accepting his, place, and he's kind of, understanding that, him being a leader is required, and he actually has to do a good job of it. And before he's been kind of trying to, turn away from that job as much as possible because he didn't really feel like he was worthy of it. But now, after, the events of All Out War and, the time that's passed in between there, like he's kind of realized, like, I have to do this to keep these people alive. And, what I'm trying to illustrate that comes from that is, one, it's a tremendous burden that is going to be altering his character somewhat, but he also has just this huge sense of responsibility. And the reason that beating was supposed to be so savage was because, there's this society that they've built that's kind of teetering on the edge. And if one person who's doing their job doesn't do it right, the whole thing could collapse. And so, you do have a pretty harsh punishment. And it's supposed to be kind of the emergence of, new world rules and stuff. So that's kind of where we're going. He's definitely, not losing his mind or going crazy or anything like that. Yet. Maybe. We'll see.
Thank you.
Speaking of losing his mind, is there any chance that we're going to find out what Negan's backstory is? Like, was he molested as a child, or what caused all this psychosis and sociopathic
I find this question threatening for some reason.
Because I need to know. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get into that at some point. I don't have any plans for a novel series. A lot of people ask because we did the Governor novel series, and I don't really want to do a Negan novel series because I feel like that, I don't know, like I want to deal with that character's, stuff in the comic, so I think that'll be cool. But we'll find out eventually. He's not dead yet.
And I know you can't spoil this, and just make this quick. Is he coming into the show?
Oh yeah, we've publicly said that he'll eventually be in the show. I mean, we are, following the comics, and we do change things here and there. But the idea is that he will be in the show eventually.
Thank you.
But as to when that is, it might be a while.
Wow. Thanks.
Cool.
Hey, so with all this talk of Negan, thinking back to one of the issues with the letter hacks, and you said you took inspiration for the name Negan from the Grand Nagus from Star Trek. So every time I read
I didn't say that. That's not how I said that. I said that when I was thinking of a name for the guy, I was like, oh, Negus, that's a good name. And then I was like, oh, that's just the Star Trek term. Crap.
Right.
But it wasn't like I was inspired by that character. But yeah.
Every time
Although
I read,
love that character, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, every time I read Negan's name, I keep thinking Negan in my head. So should it be Negan or Negan?
It's Negan.
Okay.
My joke is I go, it's pronounced like Megan. Like I'm saying Megan wrong. So like when someone asks me how I pronounce it, that's what I say. And it cracks me up, but it's not a very funny joke.
All right. Thank you.
Mr. Kirkman, you said at one time or another that there have been certain storytelling decisions that you've come to regret, like cutting off Rick's hand. Oh, super cool, but damn it, how does he zip things? Okay. But has there been like a certain storytelling decision, either on the TV show or on the comic, that you're particularly proud that you stuck to or that you came up with or what have you?
Cutting Rick's hand off. No, I don't know. Yeah, I'm proud. I don't know. When people don't hate the issues, I'm like, all right, that's cool. When Charlie gets every time I send Charlie a script, I'm like, hope he doesn't write back and say this one sucks. I'm always worried. Have you ever thought about doing that ever? Has that ever come up?
Pretty much every issue.
Well, I set that one up.
Yeah, you did. No,
But then you're like, I'll draw this and it'll look better so that it'll work. That's how we do it. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't really regret Rick's hand. I just know that it was a stupid decision. I don't know if that makes sense per se. I like that we did that very early on. I think that was a really great way of introducing the governor and, showing how brutal he is. And I love that, in a comic where a guy can't grow a hand back or get a robot hand, because let's face it, there are a lot of comics where that's totally fine. We cut a guy's hand off. And
like
we did it
Invincible.
see? There's like 100 robot hands in Invincible. I don't know if you guys read that comic, but people lose limbs all the time. And it always cracks me up because we get letters after that issue where they're like, oh my God, I can't believe that person lost a limb. And it's like, really? Because like 100 people have lost limbs and it's clearly not a big deal because they get like a robot leg like the next issue, but okay, whatever.
I think there's so many ideas you think are good at the time, and then you find out that you created a rod for your own back by the end of it, because obviously Rick without an arm, from an artistic point of view as well, is you have to constantly think about how he can hold stuff and how he things that people can do with two hands, and you've always got that problem. I mean, there's so many things that are, like I say, at the time. Even the concept of some of the covers to the collections, which are really good ideas, but then when you're on the 10th cover of the same concept and you're still trying to make things work, you think, oh, why did we go down this road? This is ridiculous. But
I don't think that, because I'm not drawing those. I just get them in the mail and I go, that looks good. That was easy.
yeah.
But yeah, Rick's hand. How many times in the script have I said, put him here because if we show him doing this, it won't make any sense because he's missing a hand.
Yeah. And of course, I did do that one trade cover earlier on where Rick's doing that.
Oh yeah, and we had to change it.
And I did it
Yeah, I
in
think
two
it's
hands.
trade paperback 10.
Something like that.
Yeah, it was like Rick coming at you like this, and I was like,
And I completely forgot didn't have.
so now he's going,
Yeah.
and it's like, that side's not very effective.
Okay, I had a question for Charlie, but before that, I know what Mr. Kirkman just said about how people take it so seriously when you cut off arms and legs at Invincible, and how people call into or write into The Walking Dead and say, if you kill this person, I'll quit the series. You know, I think people take it so intensely because they like your characters so much. And if you kill Jesus, I'm going to quit the series. But the question for Charlie is,
I'll make a note.
about the creative process. Now that Negan's in jail and growing out his beard, looking like Jesus used to, now Jesus has the ninja warrior look and Rick's evolving. Do you, during the creative process, do y'all talk about the looks, or does the story just come to you and you say, I'm going to start to put Jesus to look more like a samurai, and then Negan's going to start to look, because black and white, it's hard to, it kind of looks like Jesus because he's got a black beard.
Well, when we did issue 127, we did have a very, very long Skype conversation about who looks like what. And what was quite interesting, actually, aside from Negan and Jesus's look, was when we talked about the look of Rick, in my head, I was thinking that's how I'd like Rick to look. And you described how you would like Rick to look, which was kind of this weird bit of, I don't know, we were obviously synced on something then, because I was like, that's exactly how I'd like to draw him. That was really cool. So, but yeah, it was a combination of both of us sort of over that course of the conversation saying, yeah, well, we should do that, and we could do that. And I mean, I got to admit, the first time I drew Negan with a beard and stuff, I did think, it just looks like a rather slightly more chunky Jesus now. So, yes, I think we'll have to go and keep Negan with the... I'm not Negan, Jesus with the thing, just to differentiate them slightly. Unless Jesus shaves his beard off or something.
We'll make it work.
It'll make it work. But I would just like to point out, what's the thing with Mr. Kirkham and Charlie?
What?
Where's my respect?
Oh, that's right. Why am I Mr.?
I just, after asking questions of these things, I still get nervous. And I was about to call you Rob, and I thought, that's familiar.
Oh, don't ever shorten my first name. That's rude.
See, that was my mistake. I almost said Rob, and I went to Mr. Kirkman instead.
Hey, guys.
You still never got a Mr. Adlard out of it. That's unfortunate.
First, I want to say thanks. I used to always hate zombie.
Please address me as
literature.
Mr. Kirkman before you...
Can I call you? Can I call you Robert?
That's fine.
Lose the T. Is that too familiar? Yeah. So I want to say, I used to hate zombie genre type stuff because I always felt like it was just very forced, boo type stuff. But I feel like you really made it accessible for people who are more into plot, character development stuff. So I've been able to kind of get into it a lot, and I want to say thanks.
Have you gone back and watched other zombie films and you appreciate them, or
Not as much, but I'm more open-minded to it now. But
I feel like they're all good, but go ahead.
well, I'm more into it. But yeah, I guess there's not a huge line, so I'll ask a plot question and then personal question.
Sure.
The plot question is what happened to all the drugs and alcohol in the world after the zombie apocalypse? I know they mentioned Negan asked they wanted the morphine from the community.
Sure.
But that's the only illusion. There's not really alcoholism or drug addiction as a
It's pretty unrealistic.
as a plot point, and it's kind of interesting what happened to that. just because like the population's gone, you know, it doesn't, you know, that's what I'm thinking. And the personal question, I hope this isn't super cliche that you get at every
Can you remember that question and let us answer that first one? Because what's going to happen is you're going to ask that other one, and then I'm going to forget that first one.
That question, go.
But no, I guess I'm not. I don't do the drugs and alcohol thing at all. Not that I have any problems with it. You guys do what you want. But I mean, not right now. Please pay attention. But it just never occurred to me. That's why it never rains in the book. Like I'm like, oh shit, it's been like 400 issues and it never rains. So you know, I don't want to say I'm a hack or anything, but you know, sometimes things slip. I'm gonna blame Mackiewicz.
This is a problem that existed far beyond when I came on.
All right, well,
You had
you
snow-
dodged that one well.
You had snow for like 36 issues in Northern Virginia.
Well, no, there was no snow in Virginia, was there? It was in Georgia. Was there snow in Virginia too?
Let's not take our private squabbles public.
Okay, I don't remember. But anyway, Charlie, do you enjoy drawing rain? Are you liking that it rains more often in the book these days?
Well, it's actually a lot easier to draw rain in pencil than it is when I was inking the book. Because all I do is just write raining. It's great.
Sorry about your luck, Stefano.
Yeah.
Well, then we'll do it more often.
Okay. There's no one behind me. I'll ask the other question. So for each of you guys to answer, potentially.
Yeah, please line up, or this panel is going to get terrible real quick.
Yeah, I'll just be up here. But so
Charlie, do you like my shirt?
So I hope this isn't asked every single time you guys do a panel, but when the zombie apocalypse actually happens, weapon of choice and contingency plan? It is, huh? Everybody asks.
Come on, guy. Not every panel, but a lot. Weapon of choice?
Yeah, for everybody to answer. Weapon of choice and like where do you go when it
Polar bear. And where do I go?
Yeah, what's your contingency
Listen,
plan?
I go to the top of a building and jump off. I'm not wanting to. I don't want to live in the zombie apocalypse. I've written that for too long.
Yeah.
It's not a fun world to live in.
What about the other guys?
The other guy.
I mean, like Sean.
He did say the other guys. He wasn't
Well, the other
referring to you
guys.
as the other guys.
You have the strength of 10
Claudio
men.
and Sean.
It's gone from Mr. Kirkman to Charlie to the other guy.
You're looped in with me. That's a huge demotion.
I've got a particularly vicious set of rotring pens at home.
Okay.
I don't know.
Ink poisoning. That'll get him in the head, won't it?
I don't think that kills a zombie, but all right.
I don't know. I think last time I said the Holy Spirit would be my weapon of choice. It's still effective, so let's just roll with that one.
It's not working so good for the pastor.
No, but I actually, since moving out to LA, we've actually had to come up with survival plans because of earthquakes and whatnot. So we're prepared to last 22 hours.
All right. Thanks, guys.
My survival plan is to drive away. Does that work? We should talk about earthquakes after the panel.
Hey, how's it going?
It was going all right until that one guy asked that question we get all the time.
So I think I've seen this written about in letter hacks before, but talking about like kind of the roadmap and how far out you've got stuff plotted, and then along those same lines, like eventually getting around to talking about what the source of the plague is. Do you have an idea? Like, is that issue 200, issue 500?
I know what it is, but it's completely unimportant to the story. So, like, I could tell you right now. It was this. And
Ink poisoning.
You'll go, well, that was pointless. So, wait, what are you saying?
Ink poisoning.
Yeah, it's ink poisoning. No. But it would be like that. It'd be like, yeah, it was ink poisoning. All the ink was contaminated, and then it just spread. And you'd go, that's uninteresting to me. Why did I want to know the answer to this question? So we'll probably never reveal the actual, cause, just because that's boring. But in saying that, I'll take it back in 5 years. But no, I mean, I do have stuff planned out quite a bit, and the roadmap goes, pretty far. But it's, it's all benchmarks. It's all like they live in a prison for a while. They encounter a guy called the governor, and like that's it, But I know that they live in the prison for a while represents 50 issues, and I kind of have a rough idea of like what happens in those issues. So I've got like a good 200 or 150 or so issues already, like pretty much blocked in.
Cool.
But yeah, I think, did Charlie, did you just pass out? Like, that's writing the word raining a lot, right?
Well, and I really like Maggie's character in the book, and I like seeing how she's changed, both in like just her character and how she's been portrayed.
Has the issue where she dies come out yet?
But
You guys ask the same question at every panel. I do the same joke.
would you talk a little bit about where you're looking to go with Maggie?
Well, that would be a spoiler. But no, I mean, she's becoming a capable leader, and she's, in charge of the hilltop. And so, there's a lot going on. She has a new kid. There's definitely there's a crisis looming. I don't know if you guys are reading recent issues, but there's some stuff brewing that will come to light in the next, 2 issues that come out. And that's going to, kind of fall into Maggie's lap, and we're going to, see her put through her paces and see what kind of a leader she really is. So there's a lot coming up with Maggie.
Awesome. Thanks.
Hello.
Hello.
I was wondering, I know, big thing is nobody is safe. I was ever thinking about in the passage. Have you ever thought about killing Rick off? Did you maybe I should kill him?
I've thought about it. Yeah, I mean, anybody could die at any moment. I mean, Rick is definitely not safe. At this point, though, every time I've said that at a panel for the last, 12 years or so, I've kind of been lying, because clearly he was going to last at least 130 issues. But anybody could go at any time. I don't think that the book, I think, could definitely survive Rick Grimes as a character.
No, I think the strength of The Walking Dead is the fact that we could kill Rick and it wouldn't really matter.
Would it? Would it, people?
Or would it?
They may disagree, but they'd be wrong. We know what this book needs. Rick's probably going to live forever.
And do you plan on to bring another issue with Morgan in it? Because it's been a while since Morgan.
He's dead.
Yeah, Morgan died. What are you talking about?
Really?
You talking about the comic or the show?
The comic. Oh.
He's dead.
Oh wow.
It's all right.
It's been 50 issues.
Yeah, it's that's why he hasn't been in it. I love that. You guys been like, where's Morgan? What happened to that guy?
Hi, I wanted to say thanks because I grew up reading comic books and then got old and stopped reading comic books, and you guys have gotten me really back into it, and I appreciate
Awesome.
that.
Thank you.
I just had a couple
Applause
comments.
for that, yes.
I just had a couple comments from people that asked questions before. One is Negan on network television. Is that
Yeah, right?
physically possible?
Yeah, that's going to take some doing.
To go to HBO or something.
We'll see. He'll say frack.
As
I mean, there's clearly limitations
fan, that'd be cool.
We'll try to figure some way around it.
All right. The next thing is I'm from Northern Virginia, and it snowed over 3 feet this past winter, and there was always snow on the ground. So.
No, that's what my brother lives there. I know. He doesn't know though. So.
So you're not going to give him credit.
I know. I'm from Kentucky. We're right across it's the same climate.
And then also, wouldn't all the drunks and drug addicts be dead by now because they would have gotten killed by
Yes,
zombies,
I take back my earlier answer, and I'm going to say that. Where were you 5 minutes ago?
And then I just have a quick short question, because being from Northern Virginia, I'm curious, where is the hilltop?
Northern Virginia.
No, they're all very close to Alexandria, within a certain amount of miles that's been stated in the book, but I don't remember off the top of my head. As Sean can attest, because I'm constantly writing in the script, I just rode blank miles. Sean, how many miles away is this place?
Okay, so I can pretend that it's where I live on Ox Hill and.
Yes, you
Chantilly.
can.
Okay.
Yes, you can.
And I just Google image search Washington D.C. countryside.
Okay.
And I mean, the hilltop is built around the Barrington House, which is an imaginary historical home.
There's one of those near my house. So.
Yeah, and so I always wanted to see if I could find a historical home in the area and be like, well, maybe it's that one. Yeah. But I never got around to it.
We have plenty of that stuff in Northern Virginia, so you're good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey guys, so I just want to say Walking Dead and Invincible are my favorite comics. So you guys are doing some great stuff with Skybound, so keep it up. My question was, what is happening with the cutting room floor?
God, what is happening with that?
Yeah,
Actually, Eric asked me about that as well recently.
I feel like at this point we could have just replayed a video of last year's panel. It would have been most of the same questions, but
Didn't I draw a cover of that?
The cutting room
quite a few years back.
I don't know why we're bringing that up. Oh, that's the question. No, yeah, it's I'm taking a while. I don't know why it's taking so long.
Okay.
I need to get that out so that I can stop having to answer awkward questions on a panel. So the cutting room floor, if
I
anybody
managed to
doesn't
get
know-
an art book out.
Oh God, rub it in. But no, the cutting room floor is a book that is going to publish my handwritten plots for all of the issues. But the idea is that I want to write commentary, and because my plots, are pretty clear to me, but not exactly 100% readable to anyone who doesn't know or anyone who doesn't live in my head. And so I have to write pretty extensive commentary on what the plots mean and what I was going to do, and it's going to be a really cool book because it's in issue 24, I was going to kill Rick and then didn't, and here's why, and here's the plot for the issue where Rick died, and it's not like that, but there's stuff like that happens where I was going to do this and then I didn't, and it'll be kind of neat, but I didn't anticipate how much work it was going to be, and so I was very irresponsible and solicited it. It was before Mackiewicz came on, so he never would have let that happen.
It's the reason why Cena quit.
Sure. So the book's coming, never, and I'm sorry.
All right, no problem. Thank you.
Question for Mr. Adlard. As you were developing the
I'll give you the $20 around the back.
I have the utmost respect for both of you gentlemen.
Oh,
Actually,
thank
all three, even though you're behind the scenes.
Just both.
Okay, so you took a lot of time developing the look of these characters, and I'm quite certain that as AMC took the comic and tried to interpret it in the medium of television, they used those, the vision you had for each of them when they did the casting. But now do you find it that it's become reciprocal, that when you're writing Rick, you actually, in your mind, you're thinking of Andy,
No. No, not at all. It's one of those weird things that the TV show hasn't affected how I draw any of the characters because, well, in my head, I created them, the look anyway of these guys, and I'm not stupid. I didn't when the TV show started and I saw who was playing what and what they looked like. I knew they were got for their acting, not the fact that they look like certain characters. So it didn't really affect my interpretation henceforth of Rick and Co. or whatever. It's great the other way around because one of the most magical experiences I had of The Walking Dead at all was actually being on set and stood in front of Danae Guerra, sort of chatting with her on set, with the wig and everything on. I was thinking, I drew you, I created you, and that was, even before this was obviously season 3, before she was even on TV, and it was incredible, to see, and I keep getting feedback from the guys on the show and everything, or from Robert tells me, the guys on the show, how they are taking inspiration from the visual side of the comic book, which they don't have to at all. They could go off and do their own Well, they could go off
Makes
and do
their
their
work
own.
easier.
Well, yeah, but they could go off and do their own thing. You know, they didn't have to do Michonne like that. They didn't have to have Abraham, Eugene, and Rosita look like how they look like them. They could have just gone with something completely different. And so it's little passages like that send a little shiver up my spine and think, oh, they are reading this stuff and they appreciate what I do.
And just a quick question for Mr. Kirkman.
Mr. Kirkman.
Is there a chance that we'll get the camera to pull back up to 40,000 feet? And I mean, right now it's presented as the only.
That sounds expensive, but go on.
Right now it's presented as the last survivors with just a few stragglers that they run into. Is this band from Atlanta or from Tennessee to Northern Virginia, but somehow, I mean, there's got to be like some island in the Caribbean or maybe like some military base in Alaska or something like that. Is there an opportunity, a way you can weave in a global perspective somehow, either through communication or some existing,
No, but there's some element of that'll come into play early on or later. I don't want to spoil anything, but I will say that we're only ever going to experience the world in the comic book series from the perspective of our characters. So if our characters go to Alaska, we'll see Alaska, but I don't like the idea of. You're reading the comic and you're reading the comic about these characters, and I don't really want to do a spin-off comic that would, focus on other characters, although I think the idea of a spin-off show is fantastic. But I really, want to just focus on that stuff, and so I don't think it would be cool to just be like, hey, here's some people in the Caribbean hanging out, drinking coconuts. I'm sure that's happening. Just assume that's happening. Those people are having a great time. There's no conflict. No one wants to see that.
I was wondering if I could ask.
Issue 4, I'm going to put my feet up.
I was wondering if I can ask a question about the Telltale Walking Dead game.
Sure.
That's allowed.
I was wondering, because I never really researched into the origins of this, but what made you decide to transform the comic books into an interactive story in game form?
Well, the format is just like the Telltale game format. So like that's the kind of game that they do. They've done games like that before Walking Dead. They've done games like that after. So this concept of like an interactive narrative is kind of their signature thing. And so when they approached me, to do the game, I was like, oh, this is kind of a cool thing. It's like a very unique way to do a video game. And my thinking is always. There's certainly cool things that you could do with The Walking Dead in the video game space, but, the story always has to be first and foremost. And this was a way to really, make it be about the story and the characters and what their lives are and what they're going through, and not necessarily like solving puzzles or doing action or, things like that. And so that really appealed to me, but it was, literally just everything that Telltale brought to the table, which is, what kind of brought that format to life.
Okay,
it was all me.
Thank you, and I hope to see a season 3 of the game soon.
See me where?
A season 3.
Oh, season 3. Yeah. I can't say anything, but I hear season 2's doing well. That's all I'll say.
Robert, I was wondering, after the walkers eat somebody,
I believe it's Mr. Kirkman. But please go on.
I didn't realize Mr. Kirkman. After the walkers eat somebody, where do they go to the bathroom?
In their pants?
No, I was just wondering.
I think that material is just kind of moving through their bodies. You should be ashamed of yourself. By the way, this younger person is going to come up here and ask a way better question than you. I can just feel it. Shame on you. Shame.
Do you guys have any ideas for like who to cast for Negan or Jesus in the show?
Charlie, I'm going to put you on the spot. I'm going to say Ed O'Neill and Ed O'Neill.
I've never even heard of those people. So.
You've never heard of Ed O'Neill?
No.
Oh.
I live in the UK. We do.
All right. All right.
Who's Ed O'Neill?
Married with Children, Dutch, Spartan, John from Cincinnati, Modern Family. I was getting there. I'm doing it chronologically.
Not quick enough.
Anyway, he's a great actor.
Very good.
Reminds me of my father.
All right, hey guys. So my question is about.
You totally dodged it.
Well, last time I mentioned stuff like that was.
Careful.
You see.
Well, okay. So here's the thing. I'll talk about this publicly. So Negan is based on a real life human being because sometimes when we create characters for the comic, I go, I don't know, man, draw him like this guy. That guy looks cool, and I'll send him like a picture of a real dude. But since the show existed, like it's not good for us to be like, oh yeah, he's based on that guy, because then that guy could be like, well, why aren't I in that show? And so I don't want to put that pressure on the show by saying, oh yeah, Negan's supposed to look like so-and-so. So it is sometimes hard for us to be like, yeah, we think Negan should be this person, because there's totally a person that we feel like it should be, but we know that in a couple years we might be actually casting that, so we don't want to be on record going, we want this person, and then there's another actor that wants to do it, and that actor's not available, and they're like, well, I saw you publicly say you wanted this other guy, but I guess I'll take the job, jerk. So it's just not good. We gotta be careful. So I'm gonna say Keanu Reeves for Jesus, because we'll never get him.
All right, so hey guys. So I'm a big fan of the comics and also Telltale.
Telltale.
Yes.
It's
sorry.
tough, man. It took me a long time.
But so my question is, have you ever thought about bringing like a game character into the comic, for instance, like Clementine into the actual comic book?
Right, yeah. No, never.
Never?
No. No, I mean, I don't like, I love being able to have other people play in the Walking Dead world in other mediums and stuff, but it just doesn't feel right to like pull an element from that and put it in the comic, because the comic is ours, you know? And I, you know, as much as I like Clementine and Lee and all those other characters whose names I've forgotten.
Well, Lee's dead, so you can't really bring him back.
Well, yeah, but it might not, you know, we'll give him a robot leg and it'll be great. But anyway, yeah, just, you know, I like it being separate. You know, that's why you're not going to see Daryl in the comic. You're not going to see, you know, Clementine in the comic. It's
Well, also, they're moving geographically further away from our
true.
comic, so like you just have to. It would be stupid how we would get them in there. Be like, I'm gonna go back from where I ran away from to join up with these other people. So,
honestly, if The Walking Dead was like corporately controlled, there would be some kind of like synergy movement to like force us to try and do this stuff, and it would just be terrible. So
yeah,
be thankful that we can, you know, live free and do whatever we want, and, you know,
fair enough.
Cut people's heads off whenever we want to.
I have another
in the comic.
I have another question, if that's fine. So this is more like a request, but since they're in Virginia right now, after the Hilltop arc, can you like make the next place to go to like Herndon, so you can name it after the place that I'm at?
No.
It's like where I say no.
No.
That's all
Sorry.
right.
Absolutely not.
Hi, Mr. Robert Kirkman. See, combine them.
Mr. and a Robert and a Kirkman.
What do you think of this,
That's
Mr.
it.
Charlie Adlard? Is it getting ridiculous at this point, or should we kill it?
I want Sir Mr. Charlie Adlard.
I also have.
Have you been knighted?
Yeah.
Nice.
Twice.
You and Grant Morrison, huh? Is he knighted? I don't know. Anyway, what's up?
I also have a somewhat of a Telltale question. Telltale is in the comic universe, correct?
Yes.
Now, in season 2, 2 years have passed from season 1, correct?
Correct.
So is season 2 at the exact timeline where the comic is right now? Like, while Clem is off having her Clementine adventures, is all the way like in Alexandria, is Rick currently at doing war, or is he?
Well, the timelines don't line up. I mean, they don't line up concurrently. So, like, what's going on in the comic right now does not. It's like later than what's going on in the game right now. nailing down exactly nailing down exactly what was going on in the comic during the Clementine season 2 stuff would be boring to me, so I haven't done that.
Thank you very much.
It'll take a lot. Hey, Sean, can you do that so I can answer that better next time?
I would say it's
You have a
either
guess?
during All Out War or just after. It's about that.
Okay.
I have 2 questions.
Well, let's hear them.
So what was your mindset in killing off Shiva the tiger pretty early on?
I don't know. I liked her. I don't know. Did you didn't enjoy drawing that tiger, did you?
I kind of got into it, and then you killed it.
He did that on purpose.
I enjoy drawing horses better. Horses are actually easier to draw than tigers, I've discovered.
Clearly, I should have talked to you, though. I didn't know you were enjoying drawing the tiger. Shiva could have lived. Huh. No, I don't know. I don't know. I thought that, I want Michonne to occupy a pretty big place in Ezekiel's heart, and I didn't know if there was room for her and Shiva, so I had to kill one of them.
That's right. Okay. Carl's getting pretty mangled. Big plans.
Pretty what?
Pretty mangled. He looks kind of messed up. He just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. So.
It's a rough life.
Rough life? All right. Wasn't sure if he was modeled after a bratty old younger brother or somebody you just didn't like. You're taking it all out on his face.
No, it's pretty. No, not really. I mean, I did start the book writing from the perspective of like my life as a son. Like, oh, I remember my dad being like this, and I remember my dad being like that. And so when I started the book, it was kind of like, oh yeah, Carl was me, and like I was thinking about Rick like an imaginary father, and that's like the perspective that I wrote the stories. And then like it did kind of shift for a while, and it very quickly became like I'm the father, and I'm kind of imagining how I would be as a father if I was Carl's father, and like Carl's like the son.
That's kind of scary.
Because I had kids after a while, and I actually had experiences as a father that I could use. But I would take better care of my kids than Rick has of Carl, obviously. But it's certainly not based on anybody. It's just that's not safe for these characters, and I like terrible things happening to them. We'll see if he loses that other eye.
All right. Let's hope. Thanks.
Sorry. Did I spoil that for anyone? Anyone not know that Carl loses an eye? This one over here? All right. You probably don't know about Glenn either. All right, go ahead. Maybe he lost a foot. Go ahead.
This is getting dark. Earlier you mentioned that you didn't want to mix like Telltale and their comics and everything. How do you feel now that Walking Dead has sort of expanded? It's now a TV show, it's now a video game. How do you feel that now your project, your imaginative child, so to speak, is now being handled by other people, other minds, and taking them into different directions?
Well, I mean, I think it's important to note that the way that the comic is produced and everything about the comic hasn't changed at all. We still work the same way. That's produced the same way. Stefano came on. Mackiewicz is here, but for the most part, nothing about the comic has changed. And we've actually, made a great effort to making sure that that's the case. Like you and I think it's very important to both of us that we don't change the comic because of all this other stuff. So I would say that having there be a video game and a TV show and all the other stuff that's going on, lunch boxes, pretzels. I think we did pretzels this year. I don't know. It's cool. Like it's like a neat thing. And if you like The Walking Dead and you enjoy the comic and you want to play the video game, sure, you don't have to, but it's there for you. And I feel like as long as it doesn't detract from the original thing in any way, then it's all okay. And if I ever felt like it was, hurting the comic, I would, I'd tell AMC, cancel that show. And they'd say, ha.
Yeah, if we suddenly didn't produce 12 issues a month, something would be wrong.
Yeah.
But we've...
12 issues a year.
Oh, yeah, a month. I said a month.
That's actually our next announcement.
Yeah, I was going to say, don't tell them about how we're going to be doing 12 issues a month from now on. Hey, Charlie, do you think you could do 12 issues a month?
If it was about that big.
I don't think you could write 12 issues a month.
I definitely could not.
But no. I mean, if we couldn't do that, it would. Yeah, something would be very wrong, and we would be held accountable for our sins, for want of a better word.
Yeah.
But we've produced more comics since, inverted commas, success. So I don't think you could say that about many other comic books.
It's true. I mean, I really got to point that out. Like, the show happened, and since the show happened, we've actually been on schedule like more than we were before.
Yeah,
the
more
show,
regular than
before the show
ever
happened.
before.
And the reason for that is because we, it's very important to us that we, are true to our roots, and we don't like get caught up in the whole Hollywood thing. And oh yeah, I'm real busy working on the show, so I'll get to the comic when I get to it. Like the comic is more important to me than any other aspect of The Walking Dead, and I know that's true for Charlie as well. And it's. But yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
So we're gonna do 12 issues a month starting next.
Yeah, you heard it here first.
Hi, yeah, you just said how more important the comic is, but my question was actually, is there anything you can tell us about the new spin-off TV series? How far along
Nope.
it is, how involved you are with that?
It's much further along than it was when we announced it. I can say that. I'm hoping that we'll have some news very soon, but it doesn't. We're not going to have any news at this Comic-Con, so there's not going to be any spin-off news. I think I just broke some news there. Whatever. But
the news is there is no news.
That counts as news. I don't know if you've been to the internet, but a lot counts as news these days. But yeah, I mean, we're very hard at work on it. I was just on the phone with Dave Erickson, the showrunner, yesterday, chatting about stuff and getting our ducks in a row. And we'll hope to have something to announce very soon. And I can say it's going to be very cool. But again, it's a slow burn, but it's coming soon.
Okay, thank you.
Cool.
For Lord Sir, Mr. Charlie Adlard, what has
That's
been...
more like it.
I wanted to ask, what are some of the things that you love drawing most of the comic, or have been things that you love drawing?
Tell me what they are so that I can get rid of them.
Yeah, backgrounds, cars, armies. It's a very simple answer. I really enjoy drawing the characters. It's as simple as that. I wouldn't have lasted this long on any comic book if I didn't like the characters. And as much as, well, we've never said it's a zombie book anyway. It's a character book, and that's it. And the characters are what's important. And for me, drawing the interaction of those people is sort of the be-all and end-all of the book. Zombies, the environment, everything else is the icing on the cake. But that is I get more pleasure out of drawing a sort of interaction between Carl and Rick or something like that. Sort of a couple of page conversation between the characters as much as I get out of any sort of big zombie, fight or anything like that. And horses.
So
Horses
if
are
a
cool,
horse
man. I like horses. I prefer them to cars.
Cannot believe you like drawing horses. It's crazy.
No, I always had a barrier. 20 years, man or boy, I've been drawing comics. And horses were always this sort of, please don't give me horses, please don't give me horses. Then he comes along and gives me loads of horses. And it was almost like the thing I needed. I needed to draw loads of horses. And all of a sudden, it was this sort of, the heavens opened and the light shone on me and I saw the light and suddenly, one day I couldn't draw horses, the next day I could. It's amazing. Now I love them. I love horses. It's brilliant.
You and my daughter.
He'll be drawing My Little Pony.
That's going to be the next book I draw.
So now you kill off the horses, right? Just all
Yes.
of them.
Yeah,
The
there's
plague
gonna be a-
transfers.
there's
and
gonna
all
be a
the
horse
horses die.
plague.
So I was wondering if Shiva the tiger was going to be something you thought about doing in the TV show, because I'm sure Ezekiel's going to be there. Would you use a real tiger, or would you use CG, or what would you want?
Probably
from
puppets.
Shiva? Puppets?
No, luckily that's pretty far off, so we don't know. I haven't had any meetings about that yet. We haven't really talked about it, but I imagine it would be a combination of like a real tiger and probably some CG elements. But
And
there was a big scene in Game of Thrones where
I don't watch that show. I only watch Walking Dead.
yeah, where the guy dies. Not but there's a
Some
character
other
that
people might.
there's a character that fights a bear, and apparently that bear is like nowhere near that actor at any point during that scene, and it's all CG. So that's the kind of stuff that I would expect.
Okay. And just as far off, with Negan eventually being introduced in the show, I hope, as a fan of the comic, that the way he was introduced in the comic was so profound, the actions that he did in issue 100, without spoiling things, that I would hope that in the show he would be introduced in the exact same way or something similar, something just as powerful, said something.
Yeah, I mean the goal is always to make it better. So if we didn't do the exact same
So two
thing,
people.
we would try to do something. Yeah.
Swing the bat back and forth.
Yeah.
Between two.
Maybe he kills all four of them.
Oh,
Who
okay,
knows?
great. Thank you.
He's got two bats in the show.
Hi.
It's Lucille and Barbara.
So the name, calling you guys whatever name is just confusing the hell out of me. So just wanted to ask either of you
Just
guys.
Bob and Chuck.
I wanted to ask both of you guys. Bob and Chuck? Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Bob and Chuck. I was just wondering, what is the most memorable death you've had to write or most memorable death you've had to draw in the series?
You go first.
Well, actually, the most memorable, only purely because it was almost to me the most shocking, because I really didn't.
Are we gonna spoil things for people? This is awful.
Oh God,
They
this
should
is
know
ages
already.
ago.
Oh, was it ages ago?
Well, quite ages ago.
Tell the rough time when it happened so people can plug their ears if they need to.
Issue.
He doesn't remember.
Oh, and 93, 92.
About 93, 90, yeah. So if you haven't read beyond that,
98.
please cover your ears. It was when Abraham got the arrow through the eye, because I didn't know you were going to do that. Every other major character death, Robert sort of obviously told me about and said, I'm going to kill him at this issue, or blah, 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 blah. Whereas Abraham was just written there in the script I got, and I just went, oh, right. And like flicked through a few more, thinking perhaps it was a dream, or no, he's dead. Okay.
Well, it's page 2 also, wasn't it?
Yeah. So, and in a nondescript, not an anniversary or anything like that. So that was the most shocking. But then when I talked to you after that, you told me that the reason you didn't tell me about it was because you only thought about it as you were writing that page. So.
That's how quick it can happen. Any actors from the show that are paying attention. But yeah, I ended that issue with Abraham and Eugene walking back to the Alexandria, and Dwight and those people were like watching them, and it was like, oh, these people are watching them, and that was the end of the issue. And so what was originally going to happen was that Dwight's people were going to attack, and Eugene and Abraham were going to get away and get into Alexandria. And while I was plotting that issue, I was like, that's lame. That's not believable. And so I was like, it'd be pretty cool if Abraham died. And then I did it.
That's a great.
And it's rare. Like that. That's the only time we've ever done that. It's usually something that we consider for a long time, or we've known for a long time, so we're building to it. There have been characters where I've called Charlie and been like, well, this guy's dying, sorry. And he's like, man, I don't care. And then like 2 years later, he'll be like, I thought you told me so-and-so was going to die. And I'm like, we're getting there, and it takes a while sometimes. But Abraham, yeah, it was definitely, and I love having that freedom. Like, that's really one of the most fun aspects of comics to me. When you work in television, it's all, outlines and writers' rooms, and there's a lot of, you gotta go through checks and balances and different things, and you can't really do things like, spur of the moment like that. It's a great medium. I'm not complaining about television at all, but, I think that one of the strengths of comics is that you can just kind of, You know, it's like jazz, if I can sound like an old person. People in my generation don't describe things as like jazz. I don't know why I did that. But you know, you can just do whatever you want, and it's awesome. And I like it. And if you miss Abraham, screw you. It was a good idea. Whatever.
Thank you.
Cool.
Wait for more jazz comics from me. Oh, hello.
Why don't you do Zombie, My Little Pony?
Oh.
Zombie My Little Pony. Well, I love drawing horses.
Charlie likes drawing horses.
All right, time's up.
Is that it?
Yeah. That was a good one.
Wow, on that note.
Thank you very much for coming out.
Thanks so much, everybody.